Yeah, so welcome to the Congo Report. This is our third season. We're so happy to have you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Great. So, hi guys, my name is Maya Ojure Lunga. I am an events and entertainment manager, a producer, and a life coach.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And so, on this podcast, we like to start off with a very light and fun, sort of rapid questions. It's based off of this saying in United States where they say, what set you claim, and it's basically just a set of icebreaker questions, really.
Okay, cool.
So the first one is, where are you and your family from?
I am from Goma,
Mm,
DRC Congo, east of Congo. So that's where I was born. But in our tradition, in our tribe, we apparently we take after our dads,
mm,
and he's actually from the Muluba tribe, which is in Kananga. So all in all, I'm from DRC Congo,
mm.
born in Goma, but raised in East London, and I've been here since maybe I was 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, okay, you came
Um,
young.
yeah, pretty young, pretty young. I
Okay.
don't have any, I don't really remember anything before here. So yeah, London, East London's where I grew up, but I
Mm.
was born in east of Congo, Eastern Congo, Goma.
Okay, great, great. And you said that your father was Moluba, and your mom was the same tribe as well, or is she from a different
Yeah,
community?
so my mom is from the Swahili tribe. So because she's from Goma, they predominantly speak a lot of Swahili.
Mm,
And my dad is from the Kananga Muluba side. So I'm half Muluba, half Muswahili. I
okay.
say that I'm both, but
Yeah.
traditionally, from my dad's traditional perspective, the Muluba perspective, I'm supposed to say that I'm Muluba.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fair enough. And which languages do you speak?
So I speak English, French,
Mm.
and Lingala. I can say French now because my French has come back,
No, good.
whereas I
Well,
lost it before. So yeah, it's back now.
okay, great, great. Yeah, and I always jump in and just to make the guests feel comfortable. My listeners, they already know I've said it a million times, but yeah. So actually half Congolese. I'm Congolese and Zambian,
Nice.
and but even on my dad's side, a lot of his family members are from the southeast region of Congo and all that. My mom is from Lubumbashi, of course, born and raised. She speaks Swahili, but they have their own tribes. You have she's Hemba and Luba Katanga or Luba Shaba is what they call it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they speak a language called Kiluba, which is probably different, which is actually very different from Chiluba.
yeah, yeah. I've
Um,
heard.
and so all the just very Katanges is what my family is, the culture and all that. And of course, on my dad's side, Bemba, which is also the ethnic group that's indigenous to Lubumbashi, coincidentally. So
Okay.
a few things going on here with me.
Yeah.
I speak French, English. I don't speak Lingala. And I speak Swahili, of course.
Oh, I'm
Um,
so jealous. God, I swear to you, when I hear my mom's side of the family speaking Swahili, I'm like, why was I never taught this? It sounds so amazing.
Yeah, you can still learn. You'd be surprised. I spoke it when I was very, very young. My parents would speak it to us when we were kids before we started school. And
Yeah.
then once we started school, we sort of lost it. And then I started retaking like Swahili classes as I got older. So you'd be surprised at how much just from hearing and being around it, you actually could figure out.
Yeah, come on. I've been trying to like listen to gossip for years at this point. I've been trying. But yeah, I think it sounds quite easy to pick up though. It sounds like I'm supposed like I know it, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's like it's at the tip of the tongue, but I
Mm,
think I should probably just open up to it a bit more. I'll be able to pick
mhm.
it up. It sounds quite easy to learn, to be fair.
Yes, yes, it really is. And the language system or like the syntax and sentence structures. It's really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was pretty much your rapid fire sort of icebreaker questions. I did want to, obviously, you've been doing a lot of things. You wear many hats, of course, and I believe you are also a mom while you're doing all of these things.
Not yeah, not yeah. I'm a godmother.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I love everyone's children. I like babysit everyone's kids. Like
Yeah.
there's no time that I have.
Yeah, especially now that I became an aunt
Are you an auntie too
last
as
year.
well?
Yeah, yeah. So now it's all about that baby. So I was just like, okay. Because everyone's like, wow. And people are really surprised that my niece gravitated towards me because, I was like the one who least wanted to be around kids. And now I want to be around her all the time.
Works, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like babies pick up on vibes, so they kind of know which
Hmm.
guys they like the most.
Yes. Yeah, she usually goes for the people that most people don't want to be
Want to
around.
be around. She's like, yeah,
Hmm.
it makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm. So I wanted to know when you first came on my radar, it was first on a program called Solo Bien.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to first, before we speak about that, how you sort of got on the show and how, because I always wonder how close knit is the Congolese community in the UK or in England specifically, for a show like that to even be a thought and to be created.
So, oh, how do I do this without drama? Long story short, I was asked onto the show as a producer at first.
Mm-hmm.
And because of, I guess, the work that I do, the people that I know, and just kind of my objectives in terms of working with the community,
Mm-hmm.
I was approached for it. The conversation didn't go as it as I wanted it to go, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, okay, well, we're not kind of meeting on the same path for this. Um, but the idea was still necessary. Like I'm very good at understanding what's very necessary in our community,
Right.
and and doing the work that I did with a project called the Best of Congo Awards, which is like an award ceremony that highlights and looks at different 12 different industries, highlighting Congolese excellence within those. That gave me such an insight to the Congolese community and a
Mm-hmm.
different perspective that I didn't really pay attention to at first, which was the importance of activity in the community and everybody doing something and getting involved and doing stuff because it creates industries, it creates a market, it creates things that everyone can benefit from, right? So
Yeah.
I still
Creates a
wanted
buzz.
it creates a buzz, it creates an environment where people can have it creates a space. And that's
Right.
what we're trying to do as a diaspora, right? We're trying to fit in or create our spaces. Long story short, I whilst working with another group called Miss Congo, I kind of somehow fell onto the show.
Oh,
If
okay.
that's kind of how it went. I kind of fell into the show for one or two episodes, and then there was a trailer filmed, and it sounds really crazy every time I say this. There was a trailer filmed, but I didn't realize it was the trailer to the
Mm,
actual show. It was kind of put to me as the trailer to the episode that was coming out, which sounds silly now, but
yeah.
so that's how I got the be attached to the actual whole thing. Um, but it just the conversations weren't what I wanted to be involved in, if that makes sense.
Mm,
There wasn't an evolving conversation on my part or for me, if that makes sense. So I kind of thought, okay, well, I've done a bit of this and no thank you. But I also understand why that was necessary in the
mm,
UK to start off with,
mm,
especially to inspire other people and to get them open to doing more things and creating more projects and more shows. That I'm all for. Like we can't have just one show that we all like put our hopes and dreams on and be like this
right.
show should be more like this. No, it's quick, fast, dramatic content. So if that's what you're
Yeah.
looking for, you'd go for that. If you don't want that, then there should be other stuff.
Something.
Like
Yeah.
right, like there's a show called Talk to Trish show, which is out now. And Trish was also on Solo La Bien as well, and
Mm-hmm.
she also felt like the conversations could have been broadened and whatnot. So it's like, hey, you just if you can, you make your own platform to host those kind of conversations. So good thing is it does create a space where more people can add their part to it and do other stuff, and I think that's more important, to be fair.
Right,
And
right.
just keep that going.
Right. So, from my understanding, based off of what you're saying, is, sort of the thematic discussions, maybe they didn't delve as deep and could be as nuanced
Yeah,
as they could have been.
it was too biased, first of all.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think the hosting was done in a way that, from especially with the way that I was first kind of told about the show, which was
Mm,
a platform that was going to help everyone to think and to dig deeper and and then it kind of became more branded around certain directions of conversation. And I think that's dangerous in a space where you're trying to make it open to people thinking differently or opening
yeah.
up to hearing different opinions. And so I kind of felt that was probably the only disappointing thing on my part. And then of course there's what do we talk about? What is the show?
Yeah.
What is it that we're going to discuss that will add to people's lives? Also, honest conversations that should be had that we maybe don't really speak about.
Mm,
There were good opportunities for that. So there were parts where they were done really well, and then there were parts where I just felt like, okay, this is just drama now. Not like
yeah.
not really listening to. We're just kind of shouting now, aren't we? So I
Yeah.
just kind of yeah.
Well, truth be told, not for nothing, that was probably my main criticism of the show as well. I do watch it still from time to time, but I always felt I was like, maybe, I don't know, maybe because, I do read up about, not only Congo, but just a lot of African like history in general. So, for me, I was like, my mind, when it comes to like things that we could discuss about it, it's like, for me, it's like 1,000 instead of like 10, you know what I mean? Instead of
Exactly.
10 things. So, you know, so I guess maybe probably that's a pretty valid point, at least from my point of view as well. So after you did your stint on Solola Bien, you decided to work on all your other things, being a self-development coach. Um, but I wanted to know, like, you know, um, in the community there in the UK, because I actually had Charlene on 2 weeks ago, and she touched on it, and I wanted to get maybe a little bit more specific with you of how, just outside of, all the projects that you have going on, just in general, when you are within the community walking down the street, or you're, buying your produce or whatever, how is the community in London, in England, the Congolese community, what are they doing right, and what are they doing, what are things that the Congolese community can work on that you're seeing through your projects, I guess, in a way, that maybe you don't see in maybe the Asian community, or the Indian community, or the Caribbean community, the Nigerian community.
Right. I think what I have learned, especially specifically in the past 2 years, was my idea of this word community. That
Mm,
kind of changed a little bit, right? At
mm,
first it was just kind of like Congolese community, easy, right? Then I
right,
realized, oh no, 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 no. There's like Congolese people, and then in the people there are different communities,
right.
right? And
Mm,
depending on who you're around, and the kind of activities that those group of people do, that's what
mm,
creates your idea or your sense of community experience in whichever, whether in the UK or London or whatever. Sorry, London or outside or whatnot. Again, like I said, with the best of Congo, what that gave to me was a perspective of how we work and how we create, so how we sustain ourselves as a
mm,
people, in a professional sense, in a visionary sense. And I think what I picked up the most was a sense of insecurity. like a collective insecurity. And I was like, oh, this is
Based,
so interesting,
what
right?
would that be based on?
So this is the interesting thing, and this is kind of from the data I've picked up. I mean, we have hundreds of people registering and participating in this award ceremony across 12 industries, which means there was like 58 awards within that. And then you
Right.
have different people from London, France, Belgium, different countries, Congolese people. Why did it go from having an award ceremony that should have sustained, that should have kind of continued in the UK, in London? It then had to become a European awards very quickly because the competition
Mm,
was almost zero to nothing in London, right? There wasn't
mm,
enough activities. There weren't enough people that were either doing the work or at least I wanted to identify as Congolese doing the work. So there
mm.
was you're Congolese, but you don't really hang around Congolese people like that. So then it's like, would this
Okay.
person and should this person win an award as the best of Congo XYZ? If they may do the work really well, but they don't uphold the Congolese community, what's the word, identity. They don't want to,
Mm.
or they don't believe in it, or whatever the case is. So that then became interesting. But to see people participate in a project that was based on not just what we call lokumu, which is
Mm.
like praise, but
Mm.
actual quantified praise. So as
Yeah.
in you deserve this because this is the work you do and show. There wasn't enough of that. It was kind of like I'm more used to wanting to be seen and known,
Yeah.
to be somebody or is doing something. But then when you bring those people together and be like, okay, can we just see the things you do so we can compare which one? Everyone's like, no, no, no. I don't
Oh wow.
participate in such things. That's when I realized, there's a lack of
Pride.
not necessarily pride was
Hmm.
a factor, a huge factor, in fact. But that yeah, there was a lack of work ethic that I found
Mm.
in there. Yes, and
Okay.
there was also a lack of confidence in the work that you do.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
failing is maybe because of the pride, depending on how you see it. Failing
Mm.
is a weird thing, and so because there's a community of very judgmental, looking at each other and judging what the other is doing, failing becomes harder. Therefore, success becomes 10 times harder. If you're not willing
Yeah.
to fail, then you're never really gonna succeed. So to even practice working or being entrepreneurial was difficult for it was difficult to see the progress in that in the Congolese community.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two people doing it, but just like for instance, if I show you the music community, the Congolese music scene, for
Mm.
example, internationally, we have one or two artists that is internationally recognized for music,
Yeah.
whereas the Congolese are like the heart of music. If you understand the history of it, of our
Yes.
music, umba and so forth, so you ask yourself, how is a group of people that are just so naturally talented not able to produce and gain from such an industry, for
Right.
example? We
Right.
have to then look at the mentality of the people, the individuals. What's our belief culture like? Like, how do we believe, or how do we think as a people? That's
Yes.
when I realized, oh my God, there is probably a lot more work to do than I thought in regards to building and supporting the industries we're trying to award.
Yeah.
So now the awarding side goes down and it's more like, okay, development, development. How do we develop? In the UK, when I looked at the London community
Mm.
compared to the France, huge difference.
Mm.
In which ways? The French I found were to be Congolese in France is top notch. Like if you're
Mm.
not Congolese, you ain't it. To be
Yeah.
Congolese in London is like,
You put your head down kind of.
right? And I'm like, what?
That's crazy.
But it's because the West Africans in London own this environment with their confidence, right? We
Yes.
know the Nigerian songs, we know their
Mhm.
food, because there's a certain level of pride that they present, and so it's easier for everyone else to accept and take them. Whereas in France, when I went there, I was completely like, "Whoa, you guys love being Congolese." I was amazed, and they were like, "This is normal." Like,
I did notice that when I went to Paris too. Yeah.
right? They've
Hmm.
got it in them, and you can see their biggest selling artist is Metro Gims
Yeah.
as a
Benin's Kong.
Congolese man, right?
Yes. Him and
So
his
it's like
brother.
exactly. So it just shows you that I think like when you mentioned pride, it plays a huge part in the development of a community of people. So in the UK, the pride is kind of low. I would say
Okay.
the pride is low.
Okay.
Getting there, but it's low. Different
That's
generations, but it's low.
That's so interesting because, here in the United States, obviously, it's very large, right? So you have pockets of communities, but it's not like in the UK where, you can take a train an hour and a half and you can find another community, or you have
Yeah.
to like go 3 or 4 or 5 states to find another Congolese community. Like, so for example, I live in the Midwest in a state called Ohio. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people,
Oh,
yeah, I know. People, whenever I tell them, yeah, I'm from Ohio, they're like, one, there's like, why? There are Black people there, and do you live on a
I'm literally
farm?
like, I've just seen palm trees or I just see holiday at this point.
Yeah. 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 And so in the 80s, when my family first got here, there were a sizable Congolese community in the specific city that we live in. And then as time went on, it's like people, they either moved back or they moved up north, or apparently there's a large Congolese community that lives in Los Angeles, California. A big, probably, I think the biggest community, I think, is in Dallas, Texas.
Oh my God, Dallas is
Yeah.
literally Kinshasa.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just, when I went down there, I was just like, for the first time I went down for a wedding, I was just like, I said, this whole neighborhood is Congolese people. They were like, yeah. I was just like, wow. I was just like, well, we need to move down here. We
Yeah.
need, like, I'm tired of the cold. And so I was really surprised. And then there's another one in Boston, Massachusetts, apparently. There's
When you
another.
say community, do you find them based on like what make how do you find the Congolese? Like if I was to move to like Ohio or Boston or whatever, how do I find the community? Like what would be like your first way of finding them?
Probably through asking like the neighborhoods, specific neighborhoods. The like, say if you were to come to Cincinnati, probably you would find a sizable Congolese community. They tend to be in the suburbs. So um like we have a suburb called like Westchester, or what's that other place called? I can't think of it, but somewhere out up in the northwest part of the city. And they tend to be a lot out there. Um, Another place, I think, like Toledo and Columbus, Ohio, there tend to be ones. But now, more often you find, I mean, of course, you have the Nigerians and the Ghanaians, but specifically in my city, I find more of like Franco West Africans, so like Togolese, Malians,
Yeah,
Senegalese,
right.
people from Chad,
Yeah.
and then of course on the other side, the East African, so Ethiopian. We have a lot of Somalis now, and Eritreans
Mhm.
that are immigrating here. So it's kind of hard because you just have to know. It'd probably be easier if you were down in Texas, because like Fort Worth, Dallas, that whole Houston as well, it would probably be easier to find. But
Fine.
but just like how you said, within the generic sense of Congolese people, you have their own community. So you like for me growing up, I didn't really know much about the Western Congolese experience.
Right.
It was very, my upbringing, like looking back, was very much south, southeastern Katongan kind of upbringing. Most of the people that I was around that were Congolese um, spoke Swahili. So the only outlet we had to Lingala was through the music, and that was it. And
Interesting.
later on, I found there were one or two people that were from the West, but because they knew my mom couldn't speak Lingala or my father couldn't speak Lingala, they would always speak to them in Swahili. They just happened to know the language. So it kind of worked out that way. So, so now getting older, I'm learning a lot more. It's like, oh, okay, like my family, I can say maybe 90-80% of my family, even back home, probably have never been to Kinshasa. Like it's all,
Crazy.
yeah. So they're very much like laid back Eastern
Yeah,
kind of
very.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's so
so
interesting.
it's just weird because even though when you immigrate here, it's like you create the communities that you have back home. So like the people from Lubumbashi, they tend to hang around each other. If you're from Mbujimai, they'll hang around each other. Or you're from Bandundu or Kinshasa, you tend to
That's so
find those people
no, that's
first.
true. Yeah, that's true. I see the Balubas hanging around each other a lot more and the Swahilis hanging around each other a lot. And it was the language thing. And I
I
think
think so.
because we're francophone, going to like anglophone countries naturally meant we relied on each other's more for communication, like with the parents
Mm,
and stuff. Whereas
mm,
with the ones that migrated to like Belgium and France and any other like francophone Canadian country areas meant that they were able to kind of integrate better into their society. And
mm,
then I guess that adds to the kind of context of your Congoleseness.
mm,
Like maybe for instance, we speak Lingala but with English, so we call it Linglish. It's very weird and silly,
yeah.
right? Like we mix Lingala with the English, so then we're almost on without realizing creating a new culture in this
Mhm,
Western this diaspora version of the thing of the Congolese community. But that community mainly came from when I think about our parents, how they built communities. It was from churches
yeah.
or matangas or weddings. Those are the three areas where the coming together happened,
Hmm.
unless the parents know of each other or know each other from back home, and then they come
Right.
in. And, oh, I know somebody that lives in, and then that connection happens. But as our generation growing up, it was that we were going to so's house, or we met up at the church, or we met up at and that's how we kind of know of each other. Otherwise, you're kind of meeting the other Congolese person maybe at school because of your
Mhm.
surnames, and you're kind of like, Ilunga, that sounds very Congolese. And then we all went through the phrase and we're like, I'm not Congolese, I'm French. I'm from
Oh,
Congo.
I never did that now.
Oh yeah, we did that. You see, it was
Oh,
worse over here because we were
oh my
the
goodness.
Congo. We were not from the Congo. We were from Belgium and France, my
Oh
friend.
my, no,
That,
no, no.
yeah, that's how
I
bad it
I
was.
I feel even weird about eating Belgian waffles sometimes. I
See, this is
can
the
do
thing.
it.
It's the education, though. I feel like
Yeah.
as an American, I could understand as an American. That's are you first generation?
My
Yeah.
sister was born over there. My brother and I were born over here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this a friend of mine called JJ Bola, Congolese as well, author. He wrote this book called Refugee,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically spoke about having the refugee mindset, which was for many of us that came to adapt to the new worlds that we were came to survive on or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the priority was to adapt and to learn this new way in order to
Right.
survive. Whereas I realized that the generations born here or outside of Congo tend to have more of an eagerness to learn about their community, about their country. So
Mm-hmm.
they tend to have more Congolese identity strength, weird
Mm-hmm.
word, compared to the ones that have left because we're kind of doing the opposite job. I'm trying to learn how to be more less Congolese. You're trying to learn how to be more Congolese. So you
Yeah.
have the two different kind of Congolese people there. A lot of the Congolese younger people I know that speak Lingala like as if they were selling in the markets in Kinshasa
Mm-hmm.
have learned just by watching like theatre and watching their mum speak, and they're
Yeah.
so fascinated by that they catch it more. Whereas from someone like me coming from from Congo, where you're constantly taught that it was a war and it was a bad place and don't think and don't speak Lingala because
Mm-hmm.
Lingala is seen as like a low level language to speak.
Mm.
Whereas if you're educated, you speak French. So you naturally start catching on to weird, like what those weird weird kind of weird mindsets that were based on dealing with colonialism.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
thought it was normal until we're older now. Now we know that denying being Congolese is like super weird. Like, why would
Yeah.
you? You know, you learn this stuff now as you're becoming aware of yourself. But I
Mm-hmm.
say also when you become all the work, I stopped working in like mainstream arts and entertainment in the UK, and also abandoned working with like the West African in the UK
Oh,
because I
really?
wanted to, yeah, I mean that's what this is when my career started off. It was doing the whole concerts with like the West Kids and the
Yeah.
Davido, the West Africans, and it was a much faster paced moving environment.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because Afrobeats was booming in that period of time.
Yeah.
You know, it just started off and it kind of popped off hard in the UK. You know, the Wiz Kids and these guys
Mm-hmm.
were either raised here or they came back and forth here. So Afrobeats has a huge ground in the UK. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought this energy makes sense. I'm African, I'm Congolese. Congolese people are lit. We should naturally be able to fit into this wave. So let me
Right.
go utilize my skills in an environment where it's, you know, my people's.
Right.
And then it was much harder than I thought, wasn't it? Ah, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. You learn quickly though working in the Congolese community, but it
Yeah.
does depend on the mindset you have. Yeah.
It's so crazy. When you think that, generically, all Africans have a lot of commonalities, so there's a shared experience, whether you're from, north, south, east, west, all that. But sooner, once you get into another community's space, you realize how differently they actually do think. But I do want to switch gears and talk about all your stuff. So how I wanted to know, what made you fall into, you talked a little bit about, being an events and entertainment manager and all that. But I wanted to know more about your self being a self-development coach, and being a producer, and all that sorts. Dance instructor, I think you have there. You teach
Yeah.
people how to do mutwashi, all that.
Yeah, exactly. With the Mutwashi, I would say it was literally just a hobby that I enjoyed doing. Dance was something I started off doing since really young in school.
Mm.
Um, I choreography and dance was a big part of my life, active wise. Um, I worked with people that are doing really well now, actually. I don't
Yeah.
know if you know a choreographer called Sherry Silver. She,
This name sounds familiar.
yeah, well, not recently. She got her big break when she choreographed for Childish Gambino, This Is America.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she was like one of the first people that I, you know, worked with and taught and almost like coached as well mentally with
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's kind of it was on that path that I knew that I wanted to help women, especially creative women, find
Mm-hmm.
their spark, find who they are. um and because I was quite direct, I like to direct and I like to manage, so it
Mm-hmm.
naturally fell into place that I wanted to be talent managing or helping someone be the best version of themselves. So it kind of blended into that. Whereas the Mutwashi was just kind of like something I like to do for fun. I haven't danced in years. I don't teach dance or anything like that. So it was just a hobby at first. But then people were like, yeah, we want to learn how to do this. I was like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I'll turn anything into money, right?
Right, right.
So we did it, and surprisingly, I had a lot more people from the States that wanted to
Oh.
do it. It was so fun to see them get involved. But then it is that whole idea of exporting the culture.
Mm-hmm.
People that are new
Yes.
to it, they love it, they want to see it. So that was good. In terms of my life coaching and self-development coaching, I've been doing this for the past 8, 9 years now, I
Oh,
would say.
wow.
Yeah, but it's never been the forefront of what I'd put out because I'm known more for my events planning and so forth. So um I've built a program with my best friend who's my business partner as well, called the Power and Potential Program.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And the Power and Potential Program is based on helping young women find themselves and find their place in the creative industry in the UK. And we work with different brands and different companies to help us fund the program and make sure that 15 young women for 12 weeks are able to get the support and training and help they need. But it is mainly based on well-being and mental health because we
Yeah.
realize there are a lot of skill-based projects out there, programs out there to help you be a better this and a better that. but no one's really focused on how to help you be a better person and how to feel better about yourself.
Mm.
That changes everything about what there is no point of doing anything until you know or you feel good about doing it. And so I wanted to focus myself on that. So the life coaching kind of picked up more in the pandemic. My events management role became illegal. No, we can't do that because of the pandemic. I was like, look at me being a criminal without realizing this is nice. So I had to tap into my other hats, the whole different hats thing I wore. I was like, okay, I'm going to spend my time coaching, especially because it just felt like everyone was going through it. I mean, I was going through it. Lost I lost four grandparents in the space of like
Oh
11
my,
months. It was
oh my
terrible.
God.
Yeah, it was horrible. And so I realized, and this is where the mutwashi came in too, because dance just helped me with anxiety, helped me with stress, and it was just like I'm gonna do this because it's making me feel good, and I was able to share it with others, and it helped them too. And I was like, let's keep dancing, guys. And now mutwashi is not a joke; it's very hard, but
Yeah,
it really
well,
is.
yeah, cause obviously, I grew up with, hemba dancing, and they're very like, it's very different than mutuashi, I'll tell you that. It's
Mm.
our style is like, it's more acrobatic. There's a lot of like spinning and jumping and things like that. So but we love watching mutuashi. We were just like, this is great. We can't do that. Like,
You'll be shocked at how I used to mutwashi because it was not something like I was terrible. But what I love about that dance is that you have to engage with your mind, your body, and your heart outside
yeah.
of logicality, if that makes sense. It's very freeing and it makes you be mindful of yourself in a
Mm-hmm.
different way. And that mindfulness is what you need to keep doing in your life. And I wish we did this on a day-to-day basis because you forget how to unplug and you forget how
Mm-hmm.
to relax and you forget
Yeah.
how to just let yourself be. So that helped in that way. And the coaching backed that sort of journey. I said, I want to help more women and I want to help more people step out of the loops that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my personal journey with myself, stepping into a new and amazing, healthy relationship, really, really pushed me to do so. So I said, I'm going to focus my coaching on self development and helping women find and how to be the best version of themselves, not focusing on being in a relationship. So not
Right.
focusing on trying to be maritable or being picked. Everyone deserves to be loved. And yes, men are trash. We do it. We get it. I know it. I've been there. I've seen it. Okay. But how do we like still live a life of fullness and happiness, even though there are things and those people out there? So I said, okay, I've been learning about the law of attraction. I've been applying the law of attraction. It's amazing. It works. I'm gonna implement that in my coaching, and that has been what I've been doing, and it's been phenomenal. It's been really
Right.
good. Yeah.
And what at what point during this, sort of self-development and having this power and potential initiative, did
Mm.
you start to see like something is happening, like something's working? Was there like a specific client or a specific moment that made you go like, I think we're onto
I
something
think
here?
paying attention to who I was and how I interacted with the world, I think I knew quite early on at a young age that I was supposed to help and serve people.
Mm,
It just became a thing. So with my friendship circles and in my any position in society I was in, whether it was school or whatever, it was always in a let me help place
yeah.
or I can tell you or try this. And so because of that natural instinct to do so, I then decided to kind of that's why I was saying that it wasn't even at the forefront of my public face and how people know me
Mm,
because it just felt normal to do just to be able to. Now, when I hear people saying to me, okay, every time you speak, money pulls out your mouth. You should probably like do something about this, turn
right.
this into an actual business that you can live off because it's helpful. That's when I then looked into it and I built the program with Ronella, the Pound Potential. And then since then, I've been building different projects. I literally live and breathe psychology and sociology, just the study of it, just for fun, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought, yeah, I guess this makes sense for me to go ahead and do it. But every time I spoke to someone that, we connected with, seeing, it's just the most amazing thing to plant a seed and
Mm-hmm.
then just watch it go off. And that's the thing with
Yeah.
my coaching is not, I will not tell you the answers. I'm going to make sure you figure it out because
Right.
that's the part of you that I'm trying to wake up. I'm trying to awaken the part of you that knows what to do next and will always know what to do next. Right now, you just don't know it. You just don't realize it. You just haven't figured it out yet. But
Right.
when you do find that voice in you or that place in you that knows how to do it moving forward, then you won't need me again. I'm just going to give you the tools to keep
Mm.
going. A sense of independence is kind of my forte. I want you to be independent and find yourself.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's yeah, because I'm a communications major, and at my program we had to take psychology classes.
Right.
So we had, because obviously you have to understand how the brain works and how the brain communicates in the way that it does in certain scenarios, cross
Mhm.
cultures and all that stuff. So I'm with all that. um I also wanted to talk about, you have another initiative called a code, Like Likelem Likelemba.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
there you go.
trivia, actually.
There you go. Yes, and I wanted to, because this is also a sort of an empowering movement, specifically for Congolese girls and
Yeah.
business women.
Yeah. So that as well. So the best. So Kodi Kelemba also came from the initiative of helping people, mainly women, because women and Congo seem to be closest to my heart. And it was also similar to a project that I have called the She's King, which is where the Pound Potential program comes from. And it
Mm,
is the same idea of helping women to come together, work together, build together, and support each other's projects.
hmm.
So we did the same thing for more specifically for Congolese community. How do
Yeah,
we find a way to create a space where we can come together? We don't necessarily have to be best of friends, but we
yeah,
just need to learn how to work together, to respect each other, to know of each other. And more importantly, the Likelemba aspect of it was about watching how our parents used the Likelemba system, which is tontine, which is I don't know what they
mm,
call it, another way of calling it, but it's just the idea of investing in each other's projects.
hmm,
Yeah, to get it up and running. But the Likalemba is mainly based on the simple thing about Likalemba is you have a group of people, they all put the same amount of money in, and the total goes to one person each month. So that's the base of it. So I was like,
um,
let's take the same base and just build it into a business, build a business version of it. So instead of just giving you money to, I don't know, buy clothes, it's like, okay, this we're all gonna put this money in, and you have to make sure your hair salon is up and running. Like that's
right.
the base of it.
Okay.
It happened early on. The pandemic didn't really help in terms of the event aspect of it. Then I kind of got into trying to find other ways of keeping the engagement going, keeping the whole idea of investing money going and so forth. Came across this thing called the circle. Do not recommend doing it.
Oh.
It was not a great experience for any of us. So that didn't work out so great, but I am looking to relaunch the events again. Um,
Mm,
I really, really, really want to have the Godly Keremba network in different countries.
yeah.
Um, the point of it is to create hubs of Congolese professional women where they just
Hmm.
network and build things together, invest in
Yeah.
each other. So I'm not going to run that by myself. Like, no, I
Yeah.
would love to meet other women out there that have the same vision and capacity to be able to run Kodli Kelemba in their region. As long as we all have the same vision and they all understand how it works, then everyone is supported in a different place. So I've spoken to so many great women that I've met because of the pandemic, to be fair, and the need to connect via internet. It's
Hmm.
helped me to, like, you've reached out to me. It's helped me to connect with other people that
Yeah.
may not be in my immediate community. This is why I was saying, oh, I've understood the word community so differently now. I think I like to see it more as, and even with Godly Kelimba and all the other projects I do, how do I create a space for more like-minded people? Those
Mm,
like-minded people will make that community. So it
yeah.
can't just be because we're all black. It can't just be because we're all women. It can't just be because it's like I get that social idea, but the practicality of a community has to be based on common values, that we have the same
Yeah.
values, and that's what carries it out. So yeah, I'm still building on that. I've put it on pause for now because I did want to focus on building myself,
Mm.
and giving myself back that professional stance that I could have, but it's working on projects this big by yourself. It's not easy.
I know
You need
it's not.
you need support. So yeah, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
taking a pause on that whilst I rebuild some of that up.
Yeah. Yes, I can identify with that. Doing this podcast, I do this all by myself. I do the videos by myself. I edit everything and yeah, market everything by myself. So I can attest to it is a lot for one person to do on any scale.
Yeah.
Um, so I wanted to switch gears a little bit and do something light and fun with you.
Mm.
Um, we're going to do a sort of a rapid Congolese trivia.
Okay.
And yes, so since we are virtual, I'm going to set the timer, and it's instead of a minute and just a minute 60 seconds, we're just going to do a minute and 15 seconds.
Okay, cool.
So just give you time, and I have to keep up too, because I have to read these really fast to make sure you can get the questions right and all. All right, so this is the timed Congolese trivia game. Basically, I'll be asking you a series of questions. You answer them as quickly as possible. If you don't know the answer, just say pass so that I can go on to the next question. And then at the end, we'll tally up all your points and you can have bragging rights at the end of it.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay. And I'm starting. Lumumbashi is the capital of which province?
Katanga.
Bandundu province is located in which region?
North. Nope.
North.
Anyway,
Yes,
north. Yeah,
northwest.
north.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. North.
What language? What language is commonly spoken in Bujimai?
Mbujimai Chuluba.
What year was Laurent Kabila assassinated?
Kabila was assassinated in. Oh, was gonna kill me. Kabila was assassinated in 1993. Nope. Don't know.
No, 2001. Name one of the
Ew. Yeah.
name one of the minerals commonly found in Congo.
Colton.
There you go. When was Patrice Lumumba, when he was alive, what was his title in political office, Patrice Lumumba?
Prime Minister.
Okay. What kind of landmass is the main attraction in Goma?
Volcanic.
Mhm.
Did you say the landmark? Okay, yeah, volcanic.
Which city in Congo is one? Oh, time. Okay.
So was that all right or all wrong? Give it to
Let's
me.
see. Okay, let's go through this now. Let's see. You got the first question right. Lubumbashi is the capital of the Katanga province. You could have said Katanga or whole Katanga, since they redrew the province borders. Bandundu province, yes, is it's in the north, more specifically northwest. But I gave it to you, so that one was okay. What language is commonly spoken in Mbujimai? You said Chuluba. That is correct. What year was Laurent Kabila assassinated? You said 93. That
It's literally I can literally see the documentary video my dad used to make me watch. Like I'm seeing it, I see the tape lines going across it. I'm like, you literally know it's 2001. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Name one of the minerals commonly found in Congo. You said coltan, which is acceptable. You could have said diamond, gold, malachite, all that good stuff would have been acceptable. When he was alive, what was Patrice Lumumba's title in political office? political office, you got prime minister. What kind of landmass? What is the main attraction in Goma, which is correct. You got volcano. And yeah, so out of the 7 questions that you were able to get to, you got 6 correct, which is
Okay,
really good.
good.
Yeah.
I better get it. Thank you. I found out a few days ago that because I've always known I was born in Goma, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know like, okay, what does that mean? Like
Yeah.
where and what. And the volcano eruption that happened in 2000, we had already left
Mm-hmm.
Goma to be in Nairobi, then Germany, then the UK. Um, and so when the recent volcanic eruption happened, I felt really like, oh my God, I need to do something this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was 2021, May, I think it was May 2021, when
Yeah.
the last recent volcanic eruption happened. Anyway, long story short, my dad then tells me that, oh yeah, so you was born in Virunga, Virunga. And I
Like the
was like,
national park.
right. And I was like, as in where the national park is, where there's like a handful of gorillas left, as in like right next to the volcano. Like, he's like, yeah. And I'm like, this story gets worse and worse. Like, and I was like, how? So I then go on Google because I haven't been back home since we left. I'm fingers crossed I'll be back home this year.
Yeah.
Um, but I literally had to go on Google Maps to like look at this area and be like, oh, wow, this is what it looks like. And like I'm obsessed with the idea of actually, I just need to go. Or just
Yeah.
looking and getting to know the reality of what what the environment is. You
Yeah.
left there when you was how old?
Me?
Yeah.
So I was born in the States. My
Oh yeah, no,
sister's
you were born in the States. Your
yes,
sister.
my sister, she was actually born um in Kitwe, Zambia. And they came to the States. I think she was 4, 5, no, 4. Yeah, I think like 4 years old she came. And then my brother and I were born here, which was not the plan. I think originally the plan was to have my parents go back at some point after my dad finished his PhD, but the country just started going down with
Yeah, a
Mobutu's
lot of people
regime.
just pulled out.
Oh my God. So yeah, so that plan changed.
Back,
Yeah.
moving back since.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been back twice, but the last time I went was 20, no, uh 11 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so when I was 16, that was the last time I went.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, so I was talking to my mom. I said, Mom, I think we're a little overdue for vacation.
Awesome.
I think we need to go back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you should. You should. I'm saying this, but I've been literally like, every time someone's like going, I'm like, what? So, what does it smell like? And what does the heat feel like? They're like, you're so obsessed, just go. And I'm like, I know I have to go. I've been raised to not even think about going there. Like the refugee mindset is a real thing. It's the thing where
Yeah.
you actually get taught that being there, going there, engaging with the Congo or even just the people that are Congolese or your community is like
Mm,
it's a bad thing. So you kind of just grow up outside of it, but then it does also build a big desire to know more about it. So
yeah. And
anyway,
I think part of it is maybe is like the trauma part of it. And sometimes depending on the person, it hurts too much to think about, what was and how like the circumstances of how you had to leave. I think sometimes, yeah, I think sometimes like I think about all the Rwandan refugees and how they had to just like that, they had to get up and leave.
my best friend she tells me her story because she was born in Burundi. Weirdly enough,
Mm,
we might our villages might has as well have been like mirror like close to each other.
mm-hmm.
I was in Goma, she was in Burundi, so we left because of the whole war thing that was going
Yeah.
on. So did she. But her story was like, yeah, so we were running my parents were running in the night, and then they were carrying me, and then there was the soldiers that were shooting, and then I was just like,
Oh my
as in
God.
Hotel Rwanda, like for real kind of vibe, like as in the
Mm,
film. And
yeah.
then you see the stuff today on the news and stuff about, then you sit down and you think, that could have been me. As
Yeah.
in, I was actually born in that particular, like in that area.
If you
That
moved like 10 miles north, that would could have been a whole different situation. And
whoa.
it's it's so weird because with these borders, like when the colonialists, when they made these borders, they didn't do them right, first of all, because we were all colonized by the same people. And I think because you have the whole Rwandan thing and the whole Burundian thing with people, they don't like this one, they don't like that one. I don't have an issue with, my problem is with the government. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
it's not with necessarily the people. I don't think that they really had a hand in how this was supposed to go,
Hmm.
because they were fighting for their lives too, and they're still
Yeah,
fighting for their lives right now.
yeah, yeah.
But it's just so crazy, I've Hotel Rwanda is one of my favorite films.
Mm.
But to think, like, not only is it a film, but to know that actual people like lived that life, I was just like, my God. I said, this
It
is
freaks me out that people are. I don't know if you've seen City of Joy.
yes, it's another good one, but it's also like,
And it's real. It's very real. It's
I
very,
was
and
just
it's
like,
not a movie. It's a documentary that's based on this is happening here, and this is what's going on, and here's what we went through. And I've heard. I went to it was the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony when Dr. Mukwege won it,
mhm,
and one of the survivors from the City of Joy came to speak, and I
mhm.
kid you not, like the room was just like, we need to die. Like this is not.
Nobody
How
did.
did who? How is this possible to exist and to be allowed and to happen? And the world is still spinning, and this is and that's really scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like, just another reason, like, these politicians, they're sick in the head, to
scary.
think that this is okay to do to other human beings in the name of good business or policy
So
building
good,
or
right?
whatever. uh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's but at the same time, it's also knowing that this is the background, or just my identity as a black Congolese woman.
Mm,
Those just black Congolese, just those three boxes can either
hmm.
be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. And it's
Yes.
like every day I have to wake up and choose what side I want to be on. I want to be an amazing person. I want to be happy. So, okay, so then I have to find a way to empower myself in those three categories because I am these three things, whether I like it or not. Didn't choose
Yeah.
to be a woman, didn't choose to be born in Congo, didn't choose to be black. And here I
Yeah.
am, and I will be. So you have to find a way to know the truth of yourself so that you could uphold it with respect and acceptance and be able to be proud of those three categories you're in. And this is what my work, my career, my work, my just my purpose in life, this is what it's based on. Those three subjects: being black, being a woman, and being Congolese. That helps me navigate through life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was, yeah, I second all of those notions. I always try and, in my own life, try to, what can I do to be more kind, more accepting, and giving people more grace, especially in this time of cancel culture, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so I I think that I wanted to have you on this show because I think that the work that you're doing is really, really good, and it should be highlighted by on somebody's platform. If it's not mine, it should
Why
be
not?
on. Yes, yes, of course. But I wanted to just thank you again for being on my podcast. I know it took a lot to get it together.
Honestly, I'm so
Um,
sorry. The running around was a lot, but you've been so
yes,
patient and so lovely. Thank you.
yes. Oh, it's no problem. Well, they say patience is a virtue, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was great talking to you. Hope to speak to you at some point
I
again.
would
You're
love
welcome to
to.
come to Cincinnati, Ohio.
I would love
Um,
to. That would
yes.
be amazing.
uh,
Yes, and continue to please conversations and platforms like this are you're needed.
Yeah.
You didn't have this conversation with me today, I don't know how many people are going to see this and how many people are going to someone's going to be like, I could resonate, I understand and I want to connect.
Mm.
And so I'm grateful for a platform like yourself. So yes, please keep going and we're going to keep supporting you all the way.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on the podcast one more time. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Have a good
You,
night.
you too have a great one. Take care, lovely.
Alrighty. Well, I was in conversation with Maya Ilunga. I am so happy to have her on the show. I hope that you guys get to listen to the whole conversation because we had really a good conversation about an array of topics. Don't forget to follow and subscribe on Facebook and Instagram. That is at TCRLRC Podcast Official. And also make sure to catch the podcast in all 10 streaming services that we broadcast our podcast. That is on Spotify, that is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Castbox, Anchor, Overcast. I think I said that already. And many more. Well, that is all for this week. I will see you next time. Bye.